Welcome to the PrimeSpan Podcast, where we talk about aging, mental health, and living well in the years that matters the most. Each week, we cut through the noise to focus on what actually helps you feel clearer, steadier, and more in control as you age. If you're navigating the second half of life or thinking ahead, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Modern fitness has become this loud, shiny thing, all metrics and mirrors. But the truth, longevity isn't built in a gym membership. It's built in the small, quiet movements you repeat every day. Welcome back to the PrimeSpan Podcast. I'm Adam, here with Kassandra and Allyson. We're not here to tell you how to get abs. We're here to talk about energy, mobility, and the version of you who still wants to dance at 80. So, I have an honest question for all of us here. When you hear the word working out, what comes to your mind?
When I hear the words working out, I think of lifting weights, like a bodybuilder or something.
I think of high intensity and just sweat dripping off of you.
Yeah, I think about sweat too, yeah.
Sweat and bodybuilding and all of these things. Does it sound negative or positive when you say working out?
It doesn't sound... I don't think it sounds negative or positive. It just doesn't sound like, oh, let me just go grab my bag and hurry up and join you. Not super appealing when you say working out.
It doesn't, right?
No, I think, yeah, it's more that I need to be convinced of it. It requires more energy to get myself to go there.
Yeah.
Or do the workout.
It has this feeling of like an obligation. But I've always thought about that. Like when you say let's go work out, it doesn't have a same, because it should be a positive. It should be a positive.
Not like let's go to dinner.
Yes.
I think it's the word work.
I think that's what it is. There's that effect in you. What's your favorite workout? What's been your workout routines lately? What's been motivating you to work out now? Now making me think, what should we name this? Is there a better name for it? Exercise, workout, routines, whatever. But what is your favorite workout lately? How's that doing for all of you?
Always enjoy a good long walk. That's like something that doesn't feel like working out, and I can walk for like miles, like do 5-6 miles and just really kind of get lost. You know how we talk about flow and some of our other, the course content that we have, and being in that flow state. And I feel like walking, I'm able to do that so that's something that never feels like a workout. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm training for a marathon. So some days it's enjoyable and other days it's work.
That's the definition of workout, I guess.
Yeah.
I think, over the years, things have shifted for me. As we were preparing to discuss this podcast, I took time to reflect about what my workout journey has been in life and how I looked at exercise and working out as a kid and growing through adulthood. I was very active as a kid, but I never looked at it as working out. It was just something I did.
Mm-hmm.
Something to be active. Like those were my extracurricular activities that I did. And I don't know. It's not like I was really given an option, but I was a swimmer my whole childhood, and I was very active. I also did martial arts, and I danced hula. So I was very active, but I never looked at it as working out until I got to college, and you had to make time to work out in between of classes and working.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a working career adult now, it's even harder to make time to work out. But and I've noticed changes with my body on recovery, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But I find it a lot harder to work out now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also shifted since we've um, founded and created PrimeSpan, that looking at it as movement versus working out has really kind of shifted my mindset about what exercise and movement means.
Mm-hmm. There was I think you have this on one of our micro course about there used to be a time that you don't have to worry about working out because you were just active and busy.
Yeah, like in the 40s and 50s, everyone was up and moving, and there wasn't that many TV shows that you could watch, and not everyone had TV, and kids were outside playing, or maybe working too in the yard. And yeah, that's in our the Boomer Comeback micro course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about it, before you have to even go in the front of the TV to change the channel or up the volume or lower the volume. You add those movements. Now it's in your phone. You don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to move your neck. You just look at your phone. How many of you thought for a while that if you're not sore after a workout, that you're not doing it correctly? Or was that a part of your conditioning?
I think at some points I would feel that way earlier on, that if I wasn't sore, I didn't feel sore the next day or within 2 days, then I didn't work out hard enough. But every once in a while I catch myself, I'm like, oh, why am I not sore? I just did this really long run, or I just whatever it was that I've done. But I think I've let go of that. And even though you might not be sore, it doesn't mean that you didn't put in the work. Your recovery, you might be, I think I'm more sore when I don't focus on recovery. And if I don't have the right nutrition, then you feel it more. And that's something that I've just recently learned, that if I am focused on that, taking my vitamins and, the supplements that I take for when I'm, doing these runs, that it doesn't affect me as much.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually what I was gonna bring up to everybody here, to everyone's attention, because when you think about the idea of this fitness myth, working out, I mean, we all acknowledge that exercise probably is one of the best thing that you can do for yourself, to keep up with your health span and to keep a lot of the things that are negative as you age. But there's also one of our theme here at PrimeSpan is always trying to provide clarity, provide the right information, and debunking some of this myths that typically comes out, or a lot of people believe in about something. And here's what we're talking. This is what one of our focus today. And you talked about walking and everything. That's one of the probably one of the most required or prescribed exercise if you're at a certain age of life. Ali, what's your thought about what's your favorite workouts lately? And
My favorite workouts right now is I go to a high intensity workout, and it incorporates boxing. So it's actually really hard on my body, especially because I'm doing it, for sure once a week, maybe twice a week. And it's actually really hard on my body because I'm not doing it consistently. So I found that the recovery is very important. That, if I tried to go every day, I'd probably really hurt myself, because getting older and your muscles just need more time, or because I'm also not going consistently. So that's my workout right now. And it's also combined with my stress relief. But I did try yoga before, and it was hot yoga. And so that was a lot, it's just a very different type of workout. But those two, I think it's just as I've gotten older, I know that my body needs more time. If I do a really hard workout, I really have to rest the next day because I can't move almost.
Mhm. Which is probably what we need to make sure that, or this is what why we're talking about what we're talking about today. Especially for our listeners that are, let's just say, those that are at 55 and above. Your body changes after once you reach that stage. It's even more difficult when you reach 75, as we talked about this. And some of the things that you have to really worry about is not just the workout in itself, but the balance, the recovery, that rhythm of workout, that movement and recovery is the most important balance that one should pay attention on. And it's not always about pushing harder and pushing harder and pushing harder and pushing harder, because that's what is typically sold to us when we go to any of the fitness environment. It's about pushing harder, push harder, push harder. And no one talks about, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You should look at it from a balance perspective. Kaz, I know you're an avid runner. What's your opinion about longevity in running?
In terms of longevity, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have an answer yet. I've worked out with different people, different ages, different weights, heights, etc. And I think that it's important for people just to kind of listen to their body. Like, I know when I need to pull back and stop. And I know that there's a lot of doctors who say running is not good, that it's not good for your joints. It's not good for you long term. But everyone is different, just like diets, there's the general recommendation for everybody. I think you just need to know yourself really well. And I think that in like with moderation, with with everything, it goes with, working out with weights, sports, etc. There has to be some kind of balance for you.
Mm-hmm. Because you see this a lot lately too in the media. I mean, there's a lot of prominent medical professionals who is actually condoning a lot of the running culture, and it's widely talked about lately. And I want to make sure that we mention this, because running is a good exercise, but then to your point, this could be very personalized, and it requires discipline, because some people run, and this is part of the I'm sure you already know this more than I do, but some people runs without warm up, and then there's no cool down, which will typically tear your joints and ligaments and shock your body. And so the reality is you have to make sure you're warming up, stretching, running, and then you have to have a cool down. And there's a supplementation, hydration, salts, I mean, all of these things that you have to make sure that you do. And people don't pay attention to these things. And then of course you have to listen to your body probably when you have some pains in your feeling. You cannot just push and push and push that. Well, the other thing that we have to mention probably here is that you have to make sure when you're working out, there's a balance between the cardiovascular workouts and the weightlifting workouts, which is weightlifting is, well, you're running and everything is training your heart and lungs capacity, and then your weightlifting is the one that builds your muscles and your bones. And for all of our listeners, one of the recommendation that we are widely known really is 4 hours a week. That's all that you need.
4 hours.
4 hours is doable.
Doable.
4 hours is doable. When you think about it. And it needs to be a balance of weightlifting and cardio. But you see, it goes back to what we were talking about. Why do we have to now plan that for hours? Well, before, people are not thinking about it, and they're probably much more fit before, because of our lifestyle. I have a flashback question for us here. Do you all remember during pandemic when all the gyms for a little bit were closed? This is the early stage of pandemic. How did you manage
Yes.
your exercise?
Oh, that is a flashback. At at this time, I was part of a different boxing gym, and they had online workouts.
Hmm. And this is during the time that they were deemed as essential workers. This is during the time that everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Cass, how about you? You remember when? What did
I
you?
do. I mean, I was an essential worker, and that enough was, I feel like that was a workout in itself at the time.
It was. It was.
But also I probably worked out like once or twice a week during that time. I think I was actually using, I purchased a kettlebell during that time. So I had a kettlebell. I had a yoga mat that was not for yoga and just kind of stretching and just, core exercises. And then I walked outside. For me during that time, I think I was not as scared because I was already kind of in the mix of it all.
Mm-hmm. I remember that time. I did the same thing. It's exactly similar to what you're all doing. That you all did. I remember. I remember getting back from work at home. I would still do my walks in the evening, like for 40 minutes, because I needed to have some clear mind and everything, And I was also an essential worker, and you're faced with some real challenging times back then. I would walk Ventura Boulevard up and down for 40 minutes just to get my walk and my workout, because there's not a gym. Even though gym in the condo and the apartments were closed during that time. They closed it. I don't know if you all recall during that time. But I probably did a lot of outdoors, similar to what you're talking about. Not probably. I did a lot of outdoors. I did a lot of hike during the weekend. I'm thinking about it. How come we're not doing that right now? You can, but none of us have. Not a lot of people, or at least that I know of, are prioritizing exactly what they did during COVID.
Because life was slow during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And life is no longer slow, unfortunately. People during that time were creating outdoor gardens. People were investing in their home gyms. People were renovating their, spaces. Like, you had the time, because what else could you do? Like, you were working from home, where everyone was like furloughed, or, and then the government was paying out, to people. So you could focus on maybe those things that you have been wanting to do. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the earlier, like 50s. It was slower living. People started cooking more and experimenting at home. So I'm not saying we should usher in another pandemic. If there's a way we can reprioritize things and get into that state again, that would be a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I think you bringing that up, Kaz, makes me think about why we have PrimeSpan. We're trying to help people reprioritize how they should enhance their lifestyle as people did before.
It's a very good point, because when you think about it, this is why I'm bringing this question. That's why I'm bringing this up. Because when I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking there was a moment in time not too long ago where health was actually a huge priority. And I have to tell you, I thought that was during the COVID pandemic, where health was a huge priority for people. Like, movement was a priority. Going out was a priority. Going out to get movement is a priority. Eating properly was a priority because you cannot eat anywhere junk. You were buying real groceries, real food, Um, and I was thinking about it when preparing some of my notes. I said how quick we shifted right away. And because what you're saying, Kaz, is life is faster right now, but we also made that faster. We also made those choices. This is such an important topic when it comes to everyone's health, about movement and all of these things. And Allison's correct. Our one of our focus is really to help people refocus what's important, what's priority. How can they do that? But it is just fascinating how things shifted so quick. Like our priority changed so quickly. Now, when you all go to your gyms, how many do you know? How many 55-year-old and above do you typically see in your gyms, and what's your typical routine like that you've seen?
So I don't go to the gym that often. I think the last time I stepped into a gym was maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
Again, because like I really just kind of just run or walk, and then I will do like body weight stuff. That is a goal of mine to do. But when I was an avid gym goer, typically those who are 55 and older were either in the gym very early in the morning, like 5 a.m., or they would be in the gym between 10 a.m. and noon, typically. And there was maybe some treadmill walking, definitely a lot of bicycle, stationary bike use, swimming, and maybe a few like light weights. But I mostly saw treadmill walking, stationary bike, and swimming.
How about now when you're running, Cass? I'm sure you cross path with some older adults.
Yeah. Running, I will see a lot. Well, actually too, where I live with running, I do see a lot of younger people running. Occasionally I will see someone a little bit older. But I mean, when I go running in the mornings on Saturdays, it's typically sometime around 7, 8 a.m. And I don't see very many older adults out there. It's typically maybe a little bit younger. But I do see a lot of older adults cycling in groups. Yes. A lot, especially on the paths that I'm running. There's a really like a bike path, bike lane close to where I run on Saturday mornings, and I will see a lot of cycling happening.
Probably for the joints too. It's a lot easier on the joints. That they could still keep up with their cardiovascular health without pounding on their joints.
Yeah. There is a lot of, honestly too, there's a lot of swimmers in the ocean, a lot of older adults who are swimming in the ocean as well every morning. There's an acquaintance that I know, and he goes, I mean, he's maybe in his mid to late 50s, and he's out in the ocean swimming a couple of miles each day, every day.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a whole group of people out in the like La Jolla Cove out there swimming every single day.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
How about you, Allie? What do you see in your gym?
I think my gym right now, I think there's a lot more younger people, but there are a few older adults, and they can still do the high intensity workout, but with modifications. The trainers that we have there always have modifications for if you want to go harder, or if you want to, take it easy. Like they like to do a lot of burpees, and that's really hard on the body. So, you know, there's other modifications that people can do. But I haven't gone to any other gym. So it's just the high intensity workout that I've done. But when I was going to the yoga studio, there was a lot of there's people of all different ages doing yoga, and I know Pilates is really popular too, because it's more stationary, more focused on the small muscles. But I agree with Kaz. I think it just depends where you are. You know, my family's from Hawaii, and a lot of people swim. A lot of people do outdoor activities, hiking, things like that. But majority of people I see are walking.
You know, water aerobics was big too. In my earlier years, I was I don't know if you guys knew this, but I was a group aquatic fitness instructor just outside when I was finished with college. And I worked at the Rose Bowl Aquatic Center in Pasadena for maybe about a year or so. And I had a Thursday evening class, and I taught water aerobics, which was a lot of fun. And most of the patrons there were 50 and older. And they really, I think, again, because it's easy on the joints, it doesn't, you know, it's very community centered. But yeah, my class sizes were anywhere from like 30 to 40 people way back then. So I think too, I'm thinking about like what Allie is sharing and, you know, the questions you're asking us, Adam. I think we might see more people walking, cycling, swimming. I think there's a little bit of a fear of adding weights or lifting weights, fear from not maybe knowing the proper form, not wanting to injure themselves further, and you know, maybe just not feeling like there's a connection with hiring a personal trainer that are in the gyms. So I think that might be a barrier for some people, which is also another reason why it would be good for people to join PrimeSpan and participate in the resources and the guides that we have for people to start slow. There's a lot of, for people who aren't comfortable going to the gym yet, there's also a lot of at-home, you know, workouts that are available, you know, for people. I know that before I started to lift weights in the gym, I would kind of watch videos, or if I'm going to do like a new exercise routine, I'm going to watch the video of how it's done before I actually go and do it in the gym, just because I want to feel like I know, or I have a sense of what I'm doing. Yeah, so I think that that's also probably something that is worth, you know, reflecting on, like, what are your barriers? What's keeping you from, you know, going to the gym, or maybe trying a different workout out?
I thinking off of what you were said, Kaz, I think going to the gym is very intimidating, especially if you don't know what to do, you know. And I think because we're in a world where people are always like judging, you know, like I said, if you're not doing something right, people are going to watch and say, you know. But if you go with a buddy or you go with friends, I think it just makes it a lot easier. I don't know how to lift certain weights properly, you know, or use different machines, or, you know, it has the picture of how you're supposed to do it, but are you really doing it right? I was watching a video last night of how to do a proper pull down, and, you know, which muscles you're supposed to activate. You could totally be doing it wrong and work the wrong muscles. So I'm intimidated by going to the gym myself. So we need Adam, who's our gym expert.
Which is probably an important topic to also mention, or, you know, that we're bringing this up, because there's not, when you reach a certain age, that confidence goes away. fear of injury, intimidation, shyness. I mean, we've talked about this in some of our episodes, that when you reach a certain age, suddenly you're like, hold on, how come I'm a little bit awkward about this? And to your point, we're in a culture where people looks at you in a constantly, and then you're now self-conscious about what you're doing. And these are important topic that we're bringing up. These are things to consider. What stops people from trying to do physical fitness? I have a question about we always have this confession in at PrimeSpan, and I'm curious, what is this is a twofold question. What is the best fitness advice that you've ever received from anyone or someone? And what's been the worst fitness advice that you've ever received from someone?
Oh my gosh, that is a hard question. What is the best? I don't even think I've even ever gotten fitness advice before.
Fitness advice?
I'm like, where would I get fitness advice from? I think it's just a good advice is just to try it. Just to try something once. And I think with fitness and exercise, it's hard to just do something once and not. I've never had a workout I didn't like after. You know, getting there is the hardest part, but sometimes it takes a few times to make it a little more enjoyable or a little bit more of a routine. But I'm not afraid to try something.
Mm-hmm.
Like running, yeah. Could I try it? I could. I just really need someone to motivate me. Worst advice? I don't know. I don't think I've gotten fitness advice really before.
Okay.
Or I need more time to think about it.
I'm curious. I'm curious what Cass about to say about worst and best advices that she's ever gotten.
You know, the best advice, I've heard it like twice. And last year it was when I was running. I was so focused on my time when I was training. And both my boyfriend and sister had said, don't focus on your time. Just focus on what you're doing. You know, just put in the time. It's going to, however long it takes you to get it done, you're going to get it done. And honestly, recently, actually, what day was this? Maybe Friday, I was listening to a podcast with Mal Robbins and Steve Magnus. And Steve Magnus is a professional sports coach, sports psychologist. And he was talking about when he's working with elite runners, what he says is he has them pull back and not focus on the outcome, but just focus on the process and being in that flow state. So I think that's the best advice, just focusing in on the process and trying to find some enjoyment in what you're doing, especially if you're not training for anything specific. Worst advice is that you just have to go hard all the time. I don't think that's not for everybody. I think that's for a very small population of people. But, again, we talked about recovery, and I think that there needs to be some balance and some variability in in your workouts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How about you, Adam? Your best and worst advice?
I have a lot of those, actually. I've got a lot of words, and you have to remember, I stepped away from the senior living industry for quite some time to join the fitness industry. And during that time, that's when I got all of the best and worst advice in my life which was the funniest time, from supplementation to movement, all of those things. But I'll one of probably the worst. Not, I don't think it's. I think it's completely worst if you chase it. But one of the worst advice I've gotten is to worry about, um to be obsessed, not worry. You should be worried a little bit sometimes of about some things, but to be obsessed about how you look in front of the mirror. And in the typical fitness industry, everybody gets driven by that. I mean, that's okay, but to obsess over it when you are a little bit out of form, a little bit out of shape, and sometimes I mean, my weight fluctuates on a regular basis. I go up 5 pounds every 3 days, and then I drop it after 2 days. It's just a weird cycle. My body just goes up and down, and I stopped worrying about it. And because people would tell me before, like, no, you have to maintain a certain body fat, you have to have a certain look, da, 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 da. All of those are good, yes, but is it sustainable? It's not sustainable. Even aesthetically, it's not sustainable. So I think it's not the worst, but it's bad when you obsess over it. And
Yeah,
then
that's true. The thinking about weight.
Mhm.
It should be how you feel
Mhm.
after exercise, after movement, and not focusing on the weight. Because, like you said, every day everyone's weight changes.
Yes, my weight, as I mentioned, my weight fluctuates 5-6 pounds sometimes in 1 week. It changes, and I don't do anything different. It's just that I know when I lack of sleep, when I'm stressed, when I know when I'm not working out because I've traveled. That changes the whole thing right away, and that's huge fluctuation. And some people will be obsessed and be hard on themselves. When you have like a 2 pound weight gain or 6 pound weight gain or loss, whatever, I know people who have that issue. And then one of the best advice that until now I still follow, and this is probably one of the thing that I just make sure it happens, regardless of what workout I do, whatever exercise I do, it's always about the right form over any exercise I'm doing. And whether it's heavy exercise or HIIT workout or whatever that is, I'm not gonna be bothered if you're doing more reps than me, as long as my form is the proper form, because I want to make sure I don't get injured and I do it properly. And ever since I've taken that advice, that route, I've probably, one, I don't get bothered by anything when I'm working out, but two, I've really avoided a lot of the injury that I would probably would have encountered. And it's also helped my joints, which is probably an important factor as we're aging. The joint health is one of the most important things that you have to pay attention on. And that's not on the rep side, that's on the form side. You have to make sure that your form, so then your body doesn't get injured. That's been the best advice I've taken. And so, yeah, and every week, like, as you know, I speak openly about this. Rafi and I work out every weekend, and we're both the same way. We're both in the same mindset, like form over reps, form over anything else. So that's been one of the best things that I've taken. I just can't run. I just can't run for whatever reason. My knees are not meant for it, I think. But I can do long walks, 5-hour walks.
That's funny.
Marathon walks I can do. Yeah. Allyson, we're closing in here to closing to our end here. I can't believe we're almost an hour in our conversation. So we're workouts and exercise. Could you share with our listeners how can they join PrimeSpan?
Yes, so we our listeners can join PrimeSpan by visiting our site community.primespan.life, and there we have different membership options for people to join. And depending on when you're listening to this, we have our Black Friday sale coming up for our members to take advantage of this great deal on our membership options. So you could have our monthly membership subscription or an annual subscription. So go and take a look at how you could join us there. We also have different options for people to, take a bite-sized piece of PrimeSpan and join one of our micro lessons. And we also are expanding our service, our membership, to have our PrimeSpan Build coaching. So we're looking forward to sharing that with everyone and helping everyone get a more personalized experience with PrimeSpan. But otherwise, you could visit us on our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you, Ally. Kaz, do you have anything to share before we close the podcast, or anything you want to add?
Yes, we are changing the word workout to prime practice. Go practice being in your prime.
Priming.
Priming, not working out. You're priming yourself. Yeah, those are my closing words for our listeners.
That's very good wisdom right there. I'd like to challenge anybody who's listening to our podcast or who may pick up this one, is to just here at PrimeSpan, we always say, look at those micro things or small things that you could change in your life. And that's really what we're about. And so my challenge to our listeners is, perhaps you could look at your day and add 20 minutes of movement, regardless what that movement looked like. No pressure in any type of movement. Don't worry about what type of movement that is. So think about walking, stretching, maybe dancing while cooking, or stretching while cooking, or cleaning. Playing with your grandkids, clean the garage, clean your house. Start adding movement in your life. Anything that gets your body to move, the better that will add that to your routine. 20 minutes a day. And then hopefully when you feel good about it, you can ask yourself, why did that give me energy? And what did that cost me? Because it's those micro changes that you can do, that really can improve your life. And I'm hoping that for those people that are listening who's not part of the PrimeSpan community, if you want to be more inspired and have a community that supports you and surrounds you where you are in your life's journey, join us, because this is where like-minded people are trying to do, living their best years at this stage of life. Our goal is to build up your health span, build up a life that will prepare you to the later retirement years. And it really just takes a short amount of time of your day. Dedicate your time to putting that equity to your future. And really just continue to tune in, listen in, and to everything that we're providing. Hopefully this is helpful conversation. It's a light-hearted conversation about reminding people about movement and exercise. I guess that's it for this episode. And just remember, longevity isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Until next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for spending time with us. If today's conversation gave you clarity or steadiness, take that with you. We release new episodes weekly. Follow the PrimeSpan Podcast on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep living well.